Okay, we are going to look at Activity 3-4, handout for supply. Hopefully you have this completed, and this is just a review to make sure that you understand what you're doing. The willingness and ability, and those are the two things that you should remember from demand. You have to be willing and you have to be able. Both of those have to be present in order for, obviously, a supplier to make anything available for sale. We're also talking about over a series of prices, and we're also talking about for a specific period of time. When we look at supply, we are looking at a snapshot. We are looking at a moment in time. And when we start talking about changes in price especially, we know that at that moment, nothing else is changing except for the price. So number 2, according to the law of supply, as a price of a good increases, then the quantity also increases. And so this is really important. You have to understand, because we're switching gears. It's so easy for you guys to think like consumers, because you have been consumers. Most of you have never produced anything, had to price it, and figure out how you're going to sell it. So as a producer, we looked at what entrepreneurs, we know what the goal here is in a capitalist economy. We know that the goal here is to make as much money as possible. So the more that we can charge a customer, the more that we're going to make available for sale, because that just gives us more money, and that's what we want. So the law of supply says the more I can charge you, the more that I'm going to be willing to make available for sale. We have to take demand out of this equation for the moment, because we only are thinking about suppliers. All right, so don't tell yourself in the back of your head, but nobody's going to buy it at that price. It's not the point now. Eventually it will be when we put the two together. Just think as a producer right now. If I could charge anything I wanted to, how many would I make available for sale? The more you can charge, the more you'll make available. It's all about incentives. Price and quantity supplied have a direct relationship. Demand we looked at was opposite. These two arrows go in the same direction. Price goes up, quantity supplied is going to go up. So that is a direct relationship. And we're going to look at a curve here in a second where we see that it's going to slope up and to the right. And once again, it's doing that sloping because of the law of supply and the fact that we are willing to make more available for sale. So down at the bottom, you have a situation where you have computers. And based on how much they can charge for each one of those computers is going to determine the quantity that they're going to be willing to supply. So for 10 computers, they will supply 10 at $500. Oops, that's 500. All right, they're not going to supply any more than 10 at that particular price. If we want them to increase, and if the only way they are going to be willing and able to increase more is if they can charge more. So if they can charge $750 per computer, then they'd be willing and able to produce 15. And then if they could charge $1,000 per computer, then they'd be willing and able to produce 20. So we see here as prices are going up, the quantity is going to go up. So we're going to plot that just like we did demand. This point is 0. This is price, always. This is quantity, always. Otherwise, it does not work. And so 500, 750, 1,000 doesn't always work out that nice, but for this example, it does. And then we're going to have 10, 15, and 20. And then we're just going to plot the points. So at $500, we're willing and able to produce 10. At 750, we're willing and able to produce 15, and at 1,000, we're willing and able to produce 20. So that, oops, if we connect that big giant dot, it makes a straight line. And once again, the closer we get to 0, the fewer we are willing to make available for sale. The higher up the price we go, the farther away from 0. So as the price continues to go up and up and up, we would just continue to offer more and more for sale. So that is quantity supplied, and all we're doing in this situation is changing price. Nothing else has changed. We haven't looked at the determinants of supply yet. So just let me know if you have any questions.